Hello, hello. Welcome back, guys. All right, let's get into this, shall we? Let's take a quick peek at collective message. We start out with liberation in the reverse. This starts us with a judgment card in the reverse. So either someone has not made peace with something, or they don't want something back, or they don't feel free of something because they've not come to terms with something. Let's take a look and see. It could be a divine feminine who hasn't quite transformed. She could be smack dab in the middle of a lesson. We have Taurus energy coming in with the Hierophant. In this deck, they call it the teacher. And we have Thoth, the god of all wisdom and knowledge, showing up here. So from the Egyptian pantheon of gods, Thoth was the god that was said to have given mankind all of our arithmetic and writing and communication and language skills. So I would say this, maybe she's still trying to figure out how to express herself. And that's why something isn't out of her, her heart yet. And now this could also be somebody's delaying making a judgment call. But my impression is she's in deep contemplation with her higher self. And I think she's trying to find the words or trying to find puzzling through something. So we have the Tower. She's getting close to having a big release. We have three major kana. We're rocking 3 for 3 in this, right? So we have Aries energy, we have Taurus, and we have that Scorpio. All of this is looking like this is a massive thing in her life. King of Pentacles. Okay, hang on. I'm going to read it the way I see this, not necessarily exactly what the cards say, but my impression, okay? And I use both of those interpretations, either the direct interpretation or I'll add whatever strikes me. And I'm going to do that right now because whatever this big decision is for her, the way I see this is she's going to be faced with something really soon. She's going to be handed something. Someone's going to be approaching her and she needs to be at a place where she's had enough time to contemplate a scenario back and forth in her mind, finding truth, finding how she really feels about a situation, and freeing her mind from any preformed, sometimes we think that we know how our reaction is going to be. And then over time or with more contemplation, we slowly change our opinions. And then we're like, let's say, for example, because that first card could have been about reconciliation. Let's say she was really upset with somebody and she was like, if I ever see that person again, I'm going to tell them to go to hell. However, it could be that over time or with more chewing on the scenario and thinking about it and going through it in our mind, the more we sometimes realize we don't feel the way we thought we did. We actually feel different about a scenario than what we thought we did. And it could be a shocker even to her. The Tower comes in and wipes something clean all of a sudden and gives a fresh slate. And it might be in just the nick of time so that she can stand in a combo of her divine masculine and divine feminine energy, which is going to serve her well when she's faced with the next chapter of her life, the next thing that she needs to be able to address. And she's going to be calm and she's going to be strong and she's going to be flexible frame of mind and she's going to do what's in her best interest, not because of any overwhelming emotional charge or any expectation or any she's not going to feel guilted. If she still wants to tell somebody to go to hell, she probably will, as long as she knows she means it for the right reason. On the other hand, she may have a very different reaction. She may say, I've reached a place of after much contemplation, I've reached a place where I'm not emotionally triggered by something anymore. I was for a long time, and now I'm not. With that Tower coming in and with this deep contemplation, she is different than she was in this first card. She's evolved quite a bit. And that is going to be very helpful because she's in her best form now. She or he, bear in mind, this is a king, but with a feminine on it. She's come out as a feminine two other times, which is why I keep saying she, but please remember, could be a masculine or a feminine. And this character could be an earth sign, but admittedly, we also had the other 3 zodiacs that I already mentioned off the major arcana. Okay, so I'm glad I chose to go ahead and interpret it the way I did because now we see with the Two of Wands here, exactly what I was saying. I think she's going to be coming to a choice. Something's going to be stepping into her world, or she's going to have an opportunity or an option, and it's going to be up to her as to how she reacts or responds. Now, this could be somebody from a great distance away wanting to reach out to her. She holds the world in her hands, but there's obviously something very remote out there. This could be an opportunity, but it feels like it could be romantic in nature. And I say that because we've got the blooming lotus flower and she's playing the human heart, right? So we have some powerful kind of like love or heart-centered decision that she'll have to make. And I don't know that it's going to be easy. Maybe this is why the universe has been giving her time and space to think through things, to connect to her higher self, to find the energy and to clear her mind of preconceived notions so that she can deal with things in real time. And she can only ask herself the most important question at this time in my life: what choice would I make? Is this good for me? Is this what my heart wants? What does my heart want? I think she's needed to clear out old preconceived notions and old hurt and pain so she can just answer this honestly for herself. So what is this really about? Is this about a person? Is this about a job? Is this about a relationship? We can have a heartfelt emotion about a career just as easily as a person. So, okay, Eight of Swords. All this stagnation and the distance that we saw on that Two of Wands card makes me think that, and that looks pretty fearful. And now we double down with a card that brings in some fear because this is the Strength card, but you notice that we got these two creatures kind of bound together, two different ferocious beasts bound together, but there's fear and there's stuck energy. So let me just say it. This is coming across like we're dancing around kind of a simple story with a lot of extra words that we don't need. Here's the way I would simplify this story and say, she and another person continue to be bonded together, even as they have been stuck and unable to like talk about the elephant in the room. This could be two people that haven't talked in a long time that have continued to think about each other. And the big drama is, how do we open up a conversation? How do we get to the conversation? How do we get to the dialogue? For a while, I think she was like, I never want to talk to this person again. There's nothing that I could possibly say to them. I'm not over it. I haven't made peace with it, but I also don't have anything to say. That has changed over time. She herself has been coming around to this place of, I feel different about things now. I feel less like I have a pre-rehearsed reaction and more like I could fathom listening to my heart when and if the day of this, conversation comes around. Let me get a little bit more about this kind of fearful, trapped, stagnated energy. We have Temperance, we have Nine of Swords. This keeps looking like this is something she's been incredibly bothered by, and she can acknowledge it and admit it, but she has much more peace in herself when she looks at the situation. Like, you know how we remove ourselves sometimes and then we don't feel the same trigger of emotion? I think she's saying, I believe that although I would probably still be nervous to like face this person again, talk to them again, I also feel peaceful enough that I could do that without being like systems overload. Is it a person? I'm still trying to establish what this is. Okay, so we have the Lovers card and it is sideways. I'm going to say that this feels like they had an almost, perfect beginning, mystical, magical romance that began with two people nuts about each other. And I also feel like nobody knows how to communicate now. Nobody knows how to open up lines of communication. I think she and this other person have been both of them have been very fearful to say anything. We could see she was deeply distressed over this. Even if she felt like things weren't exactly over, she also didn't want to deal with it for a long time. She hadn't made peace with it until she found a sense of peace by, kind of like relaxing energy around it. There will still be stress, and she knows that, to reconnect with this person, but she's actually at peace in regards to talking to them again, connecting with this person, having some kind of, because you know what this is, they have huge unfinished business. What is it that you actually know? What is about to happen in this story, right? Because we have unfinished business, and it almost feels like she is in a place where she is prepared now. She is emotionally, mentally prepared to make decisions for herself if and when she hears from this person again. I'm not saying she's waiting on them. I'm saying she's almost contemplating, is this the moment where I no longer have to think about them because I'm making peace with them? Even though I'll never speak to them again, I can let them go. Or is it she's about to take action and say, I need to reach out to them because I can finally make peace, whatever that may mean, if I reach out? Or is it that she's sensing they're about to reach out and step into her world? I'm not sure which one of those three may be the case, but I feel like let's actually, before I move forward there, let's ask one other question. We've only seen her side of the story. What's going on with the other person, the other half of that lover's equation? King of Wands. Okay, so they're in a very loving energy, very complicated. There's a lot going on that card. 10 of Cups. Okay, hang on. Are you filled with love and warmth for her, or are you filled with love and warmth because you're already in some other connection? That 10 of Cups. I mean, he could be happily ever after in some other relationship, and she's just slowly letting go of him and the entire thing that happened between himself and her. She could be healing. This could be a story of her healing. But when we have this Princess of Pentacles, that makes me think, no, he's not in another connection. He's at a place where his heart is open, where he's basically matching her. And, you know, we saw for her, we had this open heart, right? For him, that's the same equivalent here, only a little bit more pronounced, actually, on his side. But just because he feels it, just because he wants to have the 10 of Cups, just because his heart is warm, just because he would like to take action, this still says, but you can't jump from, you know, like 0 to 100 in this. He can't just suddenly reach out to her and be like, hey, I love you, let's be together. Here's the disconnect. I'm a powerful king with my heart is clear, my love is there, my emotions are there, but how do I have to start things? Princess of Pentacles. This is like the Page of Pentacles. This is a very small little first hello. I need to talk to you. Let me ask, is this him wanting to talk to her, or has he fallen in love with somebody else that he's about to ask out or start something with? Maybe the easiest way I can ask this is saying, how does he feel about our lead character, about this? The person I keep saying is she. How does he feel about her? Princess of Swords sideways. Well, he's busy spying on her, has been in many ways, probably in his mind, in his daydreams, and then possibly also like literally online. Okay. Remember, she is the King of Pentacles. It's just that we saw her as a King of Pentacles, and now here she/he is. I know it gets confusing when a character keeps like flip-flopping, you know, genders on the cards. Again, I never care about the genders, but I do try to keep the storyline straight. So I'm going to start calling her our Earth person, right? Because it's Earth energy. So we know now that he's absolutely spying on her. He thinks the world of this Earth person. And that is definitely who his thoughts are centered on, who his heart is centered on. But kind of the same dilemma. I have all this emotion. Now, in order to express it, I have to begin the conversation. I'm going to say it feels like these two haven't talked in a very, very long time. That's how it comes across anyway. Unfinished business, unfinished conversations, but also needing to basically start with a clean slate if these two were going to be able to have dialogue. These two have had a lot of fear, a lot of stress, and a lot of stagnation. Can I just ask, did they have a history in the past where there was like a breakup? Or is this one of those scenarios where just because they're nervous, just because it doesn't look like they've gotten out of this stagnancy, and it doesn't look like either one of them has had a clear vision until now about like, I really need to talk to them. I'm ready to communicate. I'm ready to speak from the heart. That could still indicate two people who've never like officially dated or never had the opportunity to build something yet. Can I just ask, what was their past history? Briefly, just briefly. Hanged Man, Two of Pentacles. Well, all that super indecisive, lots of delays, lots of, I don't know what we should do. I don't know what to do yet. It does look like it was more indecisive on possibly whomever is the divine masculine side. By the way, we do have Piscean energy, but we also have Earth energy here. They could have lived in opposite places. That the distance could have been one of the other problems. We saw it on this card too. The distance between the Earth and the Moon. Someone may have lived in a different state, different continent. And it was like, I don't know how we'd ever be together. And maybe they never broached that subject. How would we even make this work? It was very much like there was a lot on, certainly there was a lot on, I'll say our masculine's mind. Death card and the Fool with butterfly wings on both. It almost feels like, even though we don't have the Wheel of Fortune, this could have been, they met each other and there was no feasible way for them to actually successfully be together. That could have been why it was like, I know it's not over, but I have a ton of emotion around this. I have hurt feelings. I haven't reconciled with what happened. I have to think long and hard about this, listen to my higher self. I have to relax energy and basically come around to saying, if something is meant for me, then I'm sure that it'll come back around. And I feel like that's, she told herself, I'm going to open up my heart and I'm going to say, universe, whatever, time, distance, space. I'm not going to say that time, distance, and space are always going to be the prohibiting factors of me having a happy relationship, because time and distance and space change. Time passes, distance shrinks or expands, but I'm not going to control things and say, this is over, this is not. I'm just open to what happens. And I feel like with the Death and the Fool card, change has occurred. Big change has occurred. That seems to be where our characters are at right now. A lot of delays in the past, a lot of uncertainty about how could we feasibly even make something like this work. Maybe they didn't live in the same place, in the same area. That's what I get off of that. Well, that's all changed. So I'm going to say it may be him who has freedom to travel about, go different places, do different things at this point. We have 10 of Wands. It's time to lay down a lot of burdens. We can definitely see that. I think that these two are geared up and ready to actually connect, communicate, talk, be in each other's world, see what's going to happen. I just think that it's taken them both some time to like relax into the idea that something that couldn't happen before could potentially still. But this is a story where the timeline is just now starting to show up for these two. I'm going to get one more on the whole timeline aspect. Got Justice and we got the Hermit. This has been a long time coming, okay? Long time coming. And I have to say, I'm going to dig my heels in on the topic of them being at a great distance from each other. But I'm going to say what somebody had a job possibly in transportation where they traveled a ton and they spent way more time alone. And I think it was the masculine. And I think it would have been unfair for him to try to be in a relationship with someone that he was never going to be around. That could have been the biggest limiting factor, even if these two were nuts about each other. This almost feels like the relationship that could not get off the ground because they were never in the same place at the same time. And it was like, this isn't going to work unless something big changes. Well, something big has changed. But I feel like we just got a storyline like this where somebody's career path has changed, a career has ended, but it's actually really positive. I think it was on Tarot Dog. I think it was the storyline that we had last night. That's more what this feels like. She's kind of open to whomever approaches her, in that if something makes her happy, she's open to it. If it happens to be this person and the timeline has shifted, she's open to it. So it's more like, who knows what's supposed to be, but I'm not going to block things and have predisposed ideas about, no, they weren't ready before, so never again. I feel like this is very nice because it's like, okay, let's just see how this could go now. I'm not going to block anything. But I feel like a lot has changed, and I feel like there's only a matter of time before these two are perhaps going to have the opportunity to really merge. He seems to be reaching out to her. That's what it looked like to me. All right, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you so much for hanging out. Bye.